Guys, we're back. Good evening, everyone. I know it's been a difficult day for some people, but just like you felt the disappointed, I feel it too. And I want to make sure that we do really well the next time around. And for people who are doing it the first time around, I hope we learn from others' experiences, and we do what is needed to clear the exam well. I'm just going to upload the links, some links which was needed, some Telegram links, etc. here. Just 1 minute. Good evening, Nikita. This is the Telegram link, and also this is the Google Drive link. I'm just pinning it also so that you guys can join these links whenever you all want. Perfect. So what are we exactly doing in this session? This session we've already completed 3 chapters, guys. Introduction, value of supply and supply, and we've completed about 2 small exemptions. This session will take us ahead now in that front. So we are now moving ahead. Welcome Namita, and whoever else is joined in, welcome back to class. Everyone else also welcome back. Guys, my honest and sincere attempt is to ensure that you guys can revise the concepts faster, so that you can focus more on the questions bit, and so that you can be more exam ready. We'll see how that works. Good evening, everyone, and here we go. In this session, we will be looking at a chapter called Charge of GST. We will also be looking at a couple of exemptions, including legal services, goods transport services, passenger transport services. And if charge of GST gets over, I think it should get over, then we will also be looking at a chapter which is called time of supply. We'll see how that goes, but we are completely on track. This session, you can be watching this recorded even before your exams, or even the second time you want to revise. We've done performance of an artist, and we've done unincorporated association in the exemptions chapter as well. I hope the audio and the video are okay. I hope you guys are okay, and let's begin this. Guys, we're starting with charge of GST, but before that, let's do passenger transport services as an exemption. So we'll start off with an exemption. Guys, this is an exemption of passenger transport services. Right now, till now, they have not asked us a question on passenger transport services. So highly probable that this could be there in your exam. So watch out and very, very carefully, let's do this. Guys, if you travel by air, do you pay a lot of money when you travel by air? Yes. Hence, in that case, the government says if you can go by air, then you can obviously pay GST. So this is taxable. Yes, this is taxable. But there are exceptions. The first exception is if you go to the northeastern states, or if you come back from the northeastern states, including Bagdogra, which is in West Bengal, then this is exempt. And if for 3 years there are regional connectivity scheme airports where they are trying to connect India, small airports of India they're trying to connect, for 3 years that will also be exempt. This is air transport. Guys, I hope everyone's clear with this. This could be a good question in your exam. The importance of exemption is that exemptions can come up to 10 marks out of 40 marks of your GST, so they are very important. And they're easy because they're practical, so it's very easy to get these marks here. That is air travel. Next, guys, any other modes of travel do you know of? Yes, please. Any other modes of travel do you know of? Next is rail. Yes, let's target rail transport. Guys, rail is essential for India, and hence rail has been made exempt for everyone. So if you travel in a rail, it is completely exempt, except first, if your rail transport is AC, that means if you feel nice cool wind air in your face, then it is taxable. Or 2, if it's first class, then it is taxable. So rail is exempt except these two, if it's AC or if it's first class. They have some problem with AC. Whenever you feel nice and comfortable in AC, they tax you GST. And guys, with rail, metro rail, monorail, metro, mono and tram, they are all exempt even if they are AC, yes, because the government wants to encourage people to use this. After railways comes waterways. Guys, do you think we use enough waterways in India? I don't think so. We don't use. So hence, to encourage people to use waterways, if you are using inland waterways, inland means using the rivers in India, it is completely exempt because the government wants you to use inland waterways. And if you use outskirts, like outside, example Mumbai to Goa, Chennai to Andaman Nicobar Islands, etc., then if it's for tourism purposes mainly, mainly means they will not ask every passenger, but overall they will ask. If it's mainly for tourism, example Mumbai to Goa cruise, where Shah Rukh Khan's son might also be there on that same cruise, then in that case, this is taxable. So waterways generally is exempt, but sometimes when for tourism purpose it is there. Inland it is always exempt, but otherwise for tourism it is taxable. Next, guys, another very popular mode of transport is bus, which is not called bus, they call it staged carriage or stage carriage. What is stage or staged carriage? It is basically a carriage which is already staged to go from one place to the other. You just have to sit in it and go. That is called stage carriage. And since it has one C, there is only one condition. What is that one condition? If it's, so generally it is exempt, yes, generally it is exempt, except AC. If AC, then taxable. Only one condition, yes, only one condition, that is stage carriage. So AC, they have some problem with it. Stage carriage only has one condition. How will you remember? There is only one C in carriage. Next, if you don't take a stage carriage but you book a contract carriage, that means you've contracted the car like an Innova on rent, etc., a small minibus to go for a picnic. So contract carriages have two C's, that means they have two conditions. Generally they are exempt except if AC, then taxable, or if tourism, then taxable. So stage carriages has only one condition, AC. Contract carriages are two conditions. If AC is taxable, then if tourism also, it will be taxable. Next, guys, any metered rickshaw, any metered cab. Metered means when you flag it off by your hand, not through an app. All those metered cab, rickshaw, e-rickshaw, etc. are all exempt. But the moment you book it through your phone, like an Uber or an Ola, that is radio taxis they are called, the government has a problem with that and they tax it, as this is passenger transport services. What we will do is, once we finish the entire exemptions, we will take up exemptions from our module and we will do questions from there. But right now, this is passenger transport services. Everyone, please use the chat box to tell me, air travel is mainly exempt or taxable? Air travel is mainly exempt or mainly taxable? It is mainly taxable. Rail travel, is it mainly exempt or mainly taxable? It is mainly exempt unless it's AC or first class. Waterways, is it mainly taxable or exempt? It is exempt unless outside for mainly tourism purposes. Metro, mono, tram, always exempt, yes. What about bus, stage carriages? Always exempt except if AC. Contract carriage also exempt unless it's AC or tourism. So that means most things are exempt subject to exceptions. Only air travel is taxable subject to exceptions of Northeastern, including Bagdogra and regional connectivity scheme. Metered cab, etc. is also exempt unless you book it through an app. Radio taxi is taxable. So this, guys, is a very nice exemption that we just finished on passenger transport. So this is another exemption that we just finished, passenger transport services. Vishuva, hello sir, I studied your last fast track classes of December 21. I passed my group 1 and got 55 in tax. Vishuva, I'm so happy. Thank you so much. If you can just, this is my WhatsApp, can you just send me your marks sheet so I get it for my records as well. And congratulations Vishuva, I'm so glad that you've done well. 55 is a good score by any standard, and tax was a tough paper, so indeed it's a good score. Let's stay in touch so that CA final can also be very, very smooth. All the best and see you soon. Perfect. Guys, moving ahead to the next chapter now. I can't wait for messages from all of y'all also, guys. You know, it's the best message to get. After that message of your salary has been credited or money has been credited, the next best message is that your student has cleared. So I feel they are the best messages to receive, and I'm waiting for all of us to have those messages as well. Alright. Now, guys, we are looking at the next chapter, which is called Charge of GST. Guys, are we good to go? Can we start? Regulars, please tell me, guys, can we start? Asma, Nikita, who else? Nandish, where is Namita? Abhi is not around. Manoj is missing in action. Abhi is here. Guys, can we start? Yes, let's do this. Alright. Guys, charge of GST is a very different chapter. In charge of GST, we basically have section 9. How do you remember it? Because the electric bike is charged when it reaches 9% battery. So section 9 talks about charge of GST. And section 9.1 talks about the most common method called FCM, forward charge mechanism. What is that? It is very simple. This is electric bike company. When they sell a bike to you, and this is the recipient, this is you, they will charge you 1 lakh plus GST of 18,000 rupees. You will bear the burden of GST and you will pay them the GST, and they will do the headache of getting themselves registered, etc., filing their return, etc., and they will pay to the government. So the burden is on one person, the headache is on the one person, and this charging is called forward charge mechanism. This is section 9.1. This is called forward charge mechanism. As you can see the arrow, it is charged forward and recipient bears the burden. 99% of the transactions in real life, whether it's Unacademy, whether it's Netflix, whether it is a dinner, whether it is any transaction, generally on FCM basis. FCM is the most common one. 9.2 is also FCM, but it is on those 5 products, if you remember: crude oil, petrol, diesel, aviation turbine fuel and natural gas. Those 5 products, whenever, now they are not under GST, but whenever they get under GST, HP man, yes, whenever they come under GST, in that case they will be under FCM. So whenever they are under GST, they will be under FCM. That is basically section 9.1 and 9.2. Both are based on section FCM. Now, section 9.3 and section 9.4, they had a certain twist. What was the twist? Lawyers were not happy to do all the headache. So the lawyers told the government that, listen, whenever we are supplying our services to the recipient, let's do one thing. We will charge them 10 lakh rupees, that is our fee, and they are ready to bear the burden of 1 lakh 80. Yes. So why don't we do one more thing? Instead of they paying money to us and we paying it to the government, can you remove the headache from our end, and can you ask them only to pay to the government? The government says, why do you want to do that? Why do you want to put everything on the recipient? Why do you want to put entire focus on the recipient? They said because we are either small, we are either unregistered, we are either very busy, we are either very small, and these guys are very big at the other end. So why don't we put the burden and the headache on the recipient, and why don't we call this reverse charge mechanism? The shortcut is R for reverse charge, R for recipient. The entire focus is on the recipient. The burden plus the headache both is on the recipient. This is called the reverse charge mechanism. So the government says, okay, we'll do that, but only for specified goods and specified services, which we will see in today's session. Only for specified goods and only for specified services, there is reverse charge mechanism. So the government told the lawyer that in reverse charge, what you do is you only charge the money, don't charge any GST. The GST, the recipient will only pay ahead. He will only issue a voucher to himself and he will pay the GST ahead to the government. Guys, please tell me, when you go to a restaurant, does it matter to the restaurant whether you pay the bill or your parents pay the bill? For the restaurant, does it matter? No. As long as the bill is paid. So here, guys, does it matter for the government if the lawyer pays GST after collecting it or whether the recipient pays GST? No. So government, there is no problem. For the recipient, this is a big problem. He is already registered, guys. In most of the cases, he is already very big. So he is already filing his return. Is that a problem for him to add one more thing? Guys, if you are going to the market to buy 5 things, can you buy one more thing? Yes. So for him also it's not a problem. And for these lawyers, etc., is that a good thing? No headache? Yes, that's a good thing. So honestly, it does not create any problem except for CA inter students where you are learning it and it's complicated. So hence it creates a problem for us. Next, section 9.5. The government says that there is some confusion with respect to e-commerce operators. Whenever you book a hotel through Make My Trip and you go to a Taj hotel, you are the consumer, so you will pay the GST, etc. The burden will be paid by you, 10,000 plus GST for the Taj hotel. But who will pay the GST ahead? Will Taj hotel pay it to the government or will Make My Trip pay to the government? Same thing when you book a taxi. Will the driver pay? Of course, as a consumer, you will bear the burden. But will the driver pay GST to the government or Uber will pay GST to the government? That's another confusion. And same thing for housekeeping. When you book an app through Urban Clap and an AC electrician or AC repair guy comes to your house and you as a consumer pay GST, there is no problem with the burden. The burden is on the consumer because GST is consumption based. But who will pay GST to the government? This is a confusion. So because there are two people and there could be confusion, the government says that in section 9.5, only for 3 services which are hotel, taxi and housekeeping. Only for 3 services, the shortcut is HTH, only for hotel, taxi and housekeeping. It is the e-commerce operator. It is the e-commerce operator who will pay GST to the government. And if the e-commerce operator does not have a physical presence in India, then he will have a representative in India who will pay the money. But we want the e-commerce operator to pay the money. Sorry, this is not applicable, guys. This is only applicable to 3 places, HTH. It is not applicable anywhere else. It is only applicable in 3 cases, HTH. So Flipkart, Amazon, Zomato, they will not be subject to 9.5. 9.5 is only subject to 3 people, HTH. Only these 3 people will be subject to HTH. So only e-commerce operators, specified e-commerce operators, hotel, taxi and housekeeping. But what if these H, that is hotel and housekeeping, what if they are also registered, guys? Do you think Taj will have GST registration? Definitely. and maybe the AC repair guy is also very big and he will also have registration, then he may pay the GST. Yes, he also may pay the GST. Of course, both will not pay, even one of them will pay, but he may pay the GST. But ultimately, if they don't pay, whose responsibility is to pay? It's the e-commerce responsibility to pay GST. That is section 9.5. So 9.1 is not a problem. 9.2 is also not a problem. 9.5 is also not a problem. Actually 9.3 and 9.4 are also not a problem. But these are the hero sections, 9.3 and 9.4. So let's see what are 9.3 and 9.4. Everyone going to the next slide. Of course, I forgot to upload the QuickBook, so I'm just going to upload the QuickBook as well. Now this service provider, but there are two service providers. Even Make My Trip is a service provider, even Taj is a service provider. So who will pay? There is a confusion. And the government doesn't like this confusion, and hence they say that e-commerce operators will pay unless Taj or the or the AC repair guy, they are registered and they want to pay, they can also pay. But otherwise the responsibilities of the e-commerce operator. Absolutely right. Perfect. So now guys, I'm going to the next sheet. Very important. Section 9.3 and 9.4 of the CGST Act talk about RCM. Guys, please tell me in the shortcut box and the chat box, who is the focus on in case of RCM? Who is the person under focus in case of RCM? The entire mega welcome to class. Join us for charge of GST chapter. Guys, who is responsible for RCM? The entire focus is on the recipient. Under RCM, who is the one in focus? Under RCM, the focus is on the recipient. R for RCM, R for recipient. They have specified certain goods. And in these goods, I'll give you a shortcut to remember the goods. The recipient, guys, has to pay the GST. Watch out. This is an agriculturalist. This is a poor farmer. He is supplying cashews. To a registered person. The registered person has no problem and will bear the burden because the registered person is the consumer, so he will bear the burden. But please tell me guys, does the agriculturist as a poor farmer does he have the resources to file his return, go to a CA, etc.? No. So the government says in these cases, the registered person, he's already registered, he's anyways filing his return, so why doesn't he only pay the GST on these cashews? So just like cashews, there is a whole list. Let me write the list. Chewing cashews, in fact the list is here. Just 1 second guys. Okay, I'll just put the list here, 1 minute. Actually goods are not that important, so I've not put it there, but chewing cashews, smoking tobacco BD, and using lottery. This is the shortcut. What is the shortcut? Chewing cashews, smoking tobacco BD, and using lottery. Let's see what all the agricultural is supplying. One is chewing, that is cotton. If the agricultural is supplying cashews, if the agricultural is supplying silk, if the agriculturalist is supplying tobacco, or if the agriculturalist is supplying tendu leaves, then in these 5 cases, guys, please tell me in the chat box who will bear the burden and the headache of GST. The burden and the headache will be on the recipient. R for RCM, R for recipient. Vivek, Megha, Abhi, Nandish, whoever is here, I want responses, guys. Unless you respond, I will not know how you understood. Guys, chewing cashews, smoking tobacco, bidi, that is cotton, cashews, silk, tobacco and tendu leaves. Tendu leaves are the leaves from which bidi is made. In all these 5 products, please tell me who is the supplier. Please tell me who is the supplier. The supplier is an agriculturist, that is a farmer. And who is the recipient? The recipient is a registered person. So the focus will be on the registered person. Please tell me, for the government, does it matter who's paying the GST? Is it better for the farmer? Yes. And for the registered person, does it matter? No, because he's anyways registered. He has to just do one more thing. You are anyways going to the market. You just need to buy one more vegetable. Perfect. Okay. The next thing is here, using lottery. Guys, this is the government which is very lazy. They are selling Vijay Mallya's used goods or Nirav Modi's used goods. They are selling some used goods. On used goods, will there be GST? Yes, every good there is GST. So on this also there is GST. And they are also selling lottery to lottery companies. They are selling lottery to lottery companies. So these guys here are registered persons. Please tell me, on both these supplies, used goods and lottery, is there GST? On used goods and lottery, is there GST? Yes. But here the government is very lazy, so they say we don't want to do any headache. The registered person is anyways bearing the burden. Can he also do the headache? Yes. So he will pay GST to the government under RCM. Perfect. Nandish, if you see cotton, cashew, silk, tobacco, tendu leaves, the government wants GST on this. Otherwise, on agricultural commodities, there is no GST. But on these are called cash crops. The government wants GST on these under RCM. Alright, so can we repeat this with me, guys? Can you repeat this with me? What are the specified goods on which there is RCM? What are the specified goods? Can you tell me the shortcut? Chewing cashews, smoking tobacco, bidi, and using lottery. Cotton, cashews, silk, tobacco, bidis, who is the supplier? Agriculturist. And used goods and lottery, who is the supplier? The government. In these both cases, guys, who will pay the GST? The GST will be paid by the recipient. That is why this is called RCM, R for RCM, R for recipient. I hope this is clear. Goods are not so important. The more important one is services, but the philosophy is the same, guys. The philosophy is the same. So here, let's do services now. Alright. Now in case of services, guys, again there is a shortcut. Please watch out. Some lawyers, in fact I have the shortcut here only written. Some lawyers lending cars, they met the RBI, they met DIG, and they met the good government. They met them at CCD, they sponsored their breakfast, and they reversed basic charge. What is this shortcut, guys? This is the shortcut to remember all the services which are under RCM. Guys, please tell me, as a CA firm, when we provide services to our clients, do we charge GST? Yes. So this is 1 lakh, and let's say we are registered. Will we charge 18,000 GST? Yes. The clients will bear the burden but we will bear the headache, and that's how this is under FCM. But the lawyers did not want this. The lawyers said, why should we do any headache? So some lawyers, lending cards, met RBI, DIG, good government and CCD, sponsored breakfast and reversed basic charge. Let's see what this is. Everyone, I want your attention here, complete attention for each of these services. First is SUM, that is security services. As you know what are security services, the watchman outside an office, the watchman outside an ATM, they are all security service providers. If a security service provider who is not a company, it should not be a company. So it can be a partnership firm, HUF, LLP, anything individual, but cannot be a company, provides security services to a registered entity. Please tell me, is this service subject to GST? On security service, is there GST? Yes, every service there is GST except GIMS. On this, guys, the burden and the headache is on this registered person. Why? Because, guys, security services companies are generally, security services suppliers are generally small. An individual, a small family, a small HUF, a small partnership firm. So hence, this security services, the GST will be under RCM. So this is security services, this is the first one. Next, very, very important, legal services. This is either a lawyer or a senior advocate or a firm of lawyers. A lawyer, a senior advocate or a firm of lawyers, and they are providing services to a big business entity. What is a big business entity? A big business entity whose turnover not in this year but in the last year is above the GST threshold limit. Guys, are you all familiar? Have you all heard of 40 lakh, 20 lakh, 10 lakh GST limits? Yes. So, who is a big business entity? This is only our term. This is a shortcut term. What is a big business entity? A big business entity is an entity whose turnover in this year, no. In the last year, whose turnover is above the threshold limit. So, let's say the lawyer provided services worth 10 lakh rupees. Guys, on this, is there tax? Yes. And it will be paid under RCM basis. Yes, the burden plus the headache is on the big business entity. So this is the big business entity, BBE. So some lawyers, guys, same like lawyers is arbitrary tribunal. Here it is, tribunal, T. Tribunal services is the same as lawyers. And now, guys, since we're discussing lawyers, I want to revise the exemption on lawyers. So everyone, let's quickly revise the exemption on lawyers. Vijay, welcome to class. We are doing charge of GST and we are doing a fast track course on tax starting with GST first. Guys, everyone, I want your contribution here. This is either a lawyer or a senior advocate. Senior advocate basically means a senior lawyer, or a firm of lawyers, or a firm of lawyers or advocates. You all please tell me, when they provide services to the government, can the government need legal service, guys? Yes. When they provide services to the government, will they charge GST or not? No, the government says, how dare you charge GST to me? So this is exempt. When they provide services for personal purposes, example, unfortunately, you are going through a divorce and you have hired a lawyer. In personal purposes, guys, does the government want to make legal services expensive? No, so this is also exempt. Next, if they are giving it to each other services, one lawyer is giving services to another lawyer, happens? Yes, guys. I am a lawyer, I am specialized in one act, but you are a lawyer, you are specialized in some other act. Can I take your help? Yes. When they provide services to another lawyer or a senior advocate or a firm of lawyers, is that also exempt? Yes. So smart, guys. Lawyers have got everything exempted. And when they provide services to a small business entity, guys, what is a small business entity whose turnover not in this year but in the last year was up to the threshold limit, not above that? Do you remember any threshold limits, guys, in GST? Up to 20 lakh, up to 40 lakh, up to 10 lakh. If it's up to those limits, then it's exempt. So that is small business entity. So to the government exempt, personal purpose is exempt, lawyer to each other exempt, and small business entity exempt. But what if they provide it to a big business entity? Is there GST? Yes, guys, this one is taxable, and GST is under which? FCM or RCM? Who has to bear the headache? The big business entity. So it's under RCM. So please tell me, will the lawyers ever have to bear any headache? No, their life is very good, they are very happy because they don't have to bear any headache. This is an exemption on lawyers or legal services. So going back, some lawyers also includes tribunal, so that one is also done. Lending cars. Okay. Guys, if you don't use your car or if you don't use your house, can you rent it out? Yes, same way, if you are an investor and if you don't use your shares, you're a long-term investor, you don't want to sell your shares, the SEBI has a mechanism whereby you can lend your shares as well to a SEBI approved broker. Guys, when you rent your car or your house, do you charge some money for the rent? Yes. Same way, when you rent out or when you lend your securities, will you charge some money? Yes. On this service, will there be GST? Guys, on security sale, there is no GST. But is this a service? Yes, on this there will be GST. But you will not pay it. The burden and the headache is on these SEBI registered or SEBI approved brokers. So what is this? Some lawyers lending. What is lending? When you're lending securities, is it under RCM? Yes, this lending service is under RCM. There is GST, but under RCM. Next is important and has a good shortcut. Cars. This is a supplier who is supplying cars. Guys, can you take cars on rent? Car with fuel, can you take car on rent? Yes. If you want to go after your exams for a holiday, can you take a car on rent? Yes. So this is a supplier giving a car plus fuel on rent to a recipient. This will be under RCM, that is the burden and the headache will be on the recipient, but there are 3 conditions, watch out guys. The supplier should not be a company. Can it be an individual, partnership firm, HUF, LLP? Yes, but it should not be a company. That means it should be small. Yes. C for company. It should be giving car. C for car. And the recipient should be a company. C for company. So C, C, C. The supplier should not be a company. It should be car and the recipient should be a company. C, C, C. Is this C, C, C is what is under RCM. So some lawyers lending cars. I hope this is clear guys. Some is security services. Lawyers is legal services. Lending is lending of securities. And cars is cars. but C, the supplier should not be a company and the recipient should be a company. Next. Guys, this is a musician or a photographer or an artist. If you're a musician, photographer, and artist, just one second. If you're a musician, photographer, or artist, you're a very creative person. You don't want to do all this GST nonsense, headache. So you supply your music to T Series or to Tips or to one of those big companies. So these recipients, guys, on the supply of your music, will the company pay you some 10 lakh rupees for your music? Yes. Will there be GST? Yes. On this, the burden and the headache will be on the recipient. Yes, this is under RCM. Yes. Some lawyers, lending cars, MET is M for musician, etc. The government says, listen, you all are creative people, you don't bear any headache, the headache will be on the recipient. So some lawyers, lending cars, MET, RBI. Guys, RBI, you know, is the banker of banks. It's the watchdog of all banks. And RBI takes services of very senior professionals and they give services of overseeing. They are called overseeing committee. They are very senior professionals which tell the RBI what to do, what not to do, and for that they charge RBI some money. On that, overseeing committee is small, RBI is big, so RBI has to pay the burden and the headache. This is under RBI, this is under RCA. So some lawyers, lending cars, met RBI, DIG, good government. Moving on to DIG, D, good government will do after DIG. Very, very important, DIG, direct selling agent. Guys, when you want to buy insurance, do you go to the insurance company or do you go to an insurance agent? Insurance agent. Same way, when you want to buy mutual funds or some other banking products, you can go to direct selling agents. These direct selling agents, they will sell products to you. And by the way, how do they earn money, guys? How do direct selling agents earn money? They earn, just one second. Yeah, Sam?
Hello, Tejamili Dunner.
My session is getting recorded, no? Everything gets recorded. Okay, so direct selling agent, how do they make money? How do direct selling agents make money? They provide, actually we feel they are providing us services, but they don't provide us services, guys. They only sell to us, they make money from us, and they provide services to banks, financial institutions and NBFCs. So they get money from banks, so they charge 1 lakh rupees to a bank for selling their products. And in this case, guys, who is big? A direct selling agent is big or a bank is big? A bank is big, so they have to bear the burden and the headache. So some lawyers, lending cars, met RBI. D is direct selling agent. Next is I. Same like direct selling agent, this is an insurance agent. Guys, when you buy insurance from an insurance agent, how does the insurance agent make money? He gets commission from the insurance company. And please tell me, when he charges 1 lakh, which is bigger, insurance agent or insurance company, who is bigger? The insurance company is big, so they will pay GST under RCM. This is again under RCM. So some lawyers, lending car, met RBI, D, I, and now is G. Very, very important, the next one. G is Goods Transport Agency. What is a goods transport agency? Whenever you want to transport goods from one place to the other, example, Amazon wants to transport mobile phones from Chennai to Mumbai, hundreds of mobile phones, they will use the services of a goods transport agency. And the goods transport agency gives them a consignment note saying that I am transporting these goods on your behalf, etc., etc. That's a goods transport agency. The GST Act and the Income Tax Act, they love goods transport agencies. Yes, VRL example. They love goods transport agency, and hence whenever goods transport agency provides services to registered persons, business entities, and even unregistered partnership firms, that's an exception, guys. First time we've heard this. Whenever goods transport agency provides services to registered persons, business entities, and even unregistered partnership firms, the government says that goods transport agency needs to focus on the highway. Let them focus on the highway. The burden and the headache will be on the recipient. And this is the first rate that you have to remember, as the rate is going to be GST at the rate of 5%. So what rate will RCM be applicable? GST rate will be 5%. So in the exam, if they say there is a good transport agency and the rate is 5%, you know it is under RCM. But here, guys, because goods transport agency has not paid anything to the government, can they take credit? If they buy something, can they take credit? No, they can't take credit because they have not paid anything to the government, so they can't take credit. But they don't want to take credit, guys. On petrol and diesel, there is no GST, which is their main expenditure. And on driver's salary, again, there is no GST, which is their main expenditure. So they don't want to take credit. But if they want, there is an option, guys. If they want, there is an option. What is the option? Can they be under FCM? Yes. But the rate becomes 12%. Bad? Yes, it's expensive. You know GST is inflationary. FCM rate becomes 12%, which is bad, but the good part is you can take ITC. Whereas under RCM, the rate is smaller, but you don't get ITC. So it's basically both have good and bad parts. Guys, is there any lag? Let me know, is there any lag? No? Okay. Just 1 second. Yes. So let's see goods transport agency, which is one of the most important RCMs, guys. In goods transport agency, is there RCM applicable? Yes. At what rate? 5%. And can we take ITC? No. But do they have an option of taking FCM? Yes. At what rate? Rate becomes higher, that is 12%. But the good part is you can take ITC. Alright. Guys, here is our next exemption. I am taking a break from this to go to exemptions. Everyone, let's go back to exemptions. Guys, just like passenger transport, is goods transport also important? Please think and tell me. Just like passenger transport, is goods transport also important for a country as big as India? Yes. Guys, are all tired? I don't see too many responses. I am tired. It's been a long day. Okay. So, for goods transport services, the exemptions are here. You all have to take a guess, guys. If you are transporting goods by air or by courier or through Angadiya, which is very fast, Angadiya is basically a local courier. Air, courier, Angadiya, it's fast but expensive. Will this be taxable? Yes, this is taxable and always taxable. If you are transporting goods through waterways, does the government want to encourage this, guys? No one does this. So does the government want to encourage this? Yes. So this one will be exempt. What other mode, guys? Railways. Railways is taxable except the following, guys. Except the following. Rail Dr. NAM. So airways taxable, waterways exempt, railways is taxable except Rail Dr. NAM. What is this Rail Dr. NAM? R is relief material. Sorry, R is railway. This is railway material. So if you are transporting railway material only through railways, exempt. D is defense material. R is relief material like some flood relief material, etc. N is newspapers and magazines. A is agricultural produce. M is manure, that is organic. And this M is what you eat since morning. Milk, food grains basically rice, wheat and pulses, and salt. So this is exempt, very important, guys. Goods transport can be a good question in your exam. So railways, is it taxable? Yes, it is taxable except Rail Dr. NAM. Railway material, defense, relief, newspapers, agricultural produce, manure, that is organic manure, not chemical fertilizer, and this is M is milk that you drink in the morning, salt that you have in all your food items, and food grains. But which food grains? Only the most common ones. Up north people use wheat, down south people use rice, and pulses everyone uses. And guys, one more method of transport is road transport. So air we've covered, railway we've covered, waterway we've covered, now road transport. In case of road transport, if it's a local tempo, example, you want to send some goods 3 lanes away, you use a local tempo, that is exempt. But if you use a goods transport agency, that we are going to discuss now. Just repeating this, what are we talking about? Goods transport that can happen through airways, courier, Angadiya, taxable. Waterways, always exempt. Railways is taxable except Rail Dr. NAM. Road transport, local tempo and all, exempt. But if it's a goods transport agency, what's the difference between local tempo and goods transport? A goods transport agency gives you a consignment note. Then in case of goods transport agency, I'm going to the next page. This is what it is. When goods transport agencies provides services to the government, guys, do you think there will be tax? When a goods transport agency provides services to the government, do you think they can charge the government tax? No, exempt. When they provide services for personal purposes, do you think there can be GST? Like you are moving as a student from Bangalore to Chennai? No, exempt. When they are providing services for LL Dr. Nam, it is exempt. I'll tell you what is LL Dr. Nam. And other than that, guys, if they are providing services to big business entities, registered persons, or unregistered partnership firms also, as in this case, is it taxable? Yes. Do we have RCM option? Yes. What is the rate in RCM, guys? 5%. But can GTA take ITC? No. But does he have option of FCM also in this last case? Yes. What is the rate under FCM? 12%. And can they take ITC? Yes, they can. So now that boils down to LL Dr. Nam. You already know Dr. Nam, guys. Defense, relief, newspaper, agriculture, manure, milk. LL is low value, low value. What is this low value? If per person the consignment charges are up to 750 rupees only. Per person, not the goods value, the consignment charge, the travel charge, the transport charge is up to 750. Then it is exempt, low value. And in one whole truck or tempo, if the consignment charges are up to 1500 per tempo, then is also exempt. Both these are low, up to 750 or up to 1500. What about exactly 750 or 1500? Even that is exempt. Only above that will be taxable. So up to 750, up to 1500 is low. Let's recap, guys. You all will tell me here: goods transport agency or goods transport services. Air travel. Air travel taxable T, exempt E. Air transport taxable. Courier transport. Courier by whatever means is taxable. Angadiya transport. All this is taxable. What about water transport? Waterways. Exempt. What about rail transport? Taxable. Except, guys, please tell me the shortcut. Rail transport except Rail Dr. Nam. In rail there is Rail Dr. Nam. What about GTA? Local tempo is exempt. What about GTA? GTA is LL Dr. Nam is exempt. Personal purposes is exempt and government is exempt. Other than that, there is either RCM or FCM. So with that, we've done one more exemption. Today is good exemptions, guys. We've done some good exemptions. GTA also done. Goods transport services also done. Perfect. Guys, we are at RCM. We are looking at some lawyers lending cars met RBI DIG. DIG is done. Now we'll move ahead, but we'll take a 5-minute away and we'll come back and we'll move ahead. The target is to finish this, and if we finish this and we're doing some good exemptions also, then we'll move ahead to another chapter, but we'll take it slow with this chapter. 5 minutes and we're back. Thank you. Guys, gentle reminder, this is a fast track course. You guys are acting like you all have not done tax at all. I am not getting the adequate responses. Whether you've learned it from me or from someone else, you've learned all this. So please try and recollect and help me with responses whenever you can. Alright. Next guys, DIG is done. Next is good government. Very, very interesting. You know guys, the government is very lazy. Here, the government is renting immobile property. They have some extra immobile property. So they're renting that immobile property to registered persons. R for renting, R for registered persons. Will there be GST on renting of immobile property? Please tell me guys. Will there be GST on renting of immobile property? Yes. But the government is very lazy. They say, listen, why don't you only bear the burden and headache? Why should I bear it? So again, this is also under RCM. And good government, so again government. They are providing other taxable services to business entities. Guys, not all services by the government are taxable. Example, do you remember last time when you went for a driving license renewal or driving license making, did you pay GST? No. Passport, Aadhaar, you don't pay GST. So most of the government services don't have GST. But if they have, is the government lazy? Please tell me guys, is the government lazy? Yes. The government is lazy. So they say that on these taxable services, please, this will be subject to RCM. Only in 3 cases the government doesn't get lazy and they get very active guys. Only in 3 cases the government gets very, very active and they pay under FCM only in 3 cases. Guys, remember for ICAI, have you done any speed post to ICAI ever? Guys, have you done a speed post to ICAI? In that speed post you paid GST to the postal department. Have you ever gone by train and paid GST? Yes. Or bus and paid GST? And aircraft and vessel leasing, in these 3 cases, they collect and they pay under FCM, so they get active only in 3 cases, PAT. So please tell me guys, is the government lazy with respect to used goods, lottery, renting of immobile property? Yes, they are continuously lazy except in 3 cases. What's the shortcut for the 3 cases? Please tell me. PAT. Postal, transportation of passengers and goods, and aircraft and vessel leasing. In these 3 cases, they collect the GST and they pay it. They don't expect you to pay it. This is good government. Some lawyers lending cars met RBI, DIG, good government. So some lawyers lending cars met RBI, good government, DIG at CCD. Next one is A and T. This was an exam question, watch out. Guys, this is an author like Chetan Bhagat and he is selling his book to a publishing house. Publishing house tells Chetan Bhagat, we'll pay you 50 lakh rupees for your book. Great. And this publishing house, guys, the author is supposed to be a creative person like a musician. So they tell the publishing house, listen, you bear the burden and the headache. So the publishing company will bear the burden and the headache, yes. So for an author, his services under RCM, yes. But guys, here is an option given to him. If the author wants, he can also choose FCM. That means he can collect GST and he can pay to the government. That's an option to him. Yes, he has an option. But in that case, there are 3 conditions. Very important. There was an exam question on this. What are the 3 conditions? 1, he should be registered. Because guys, if he is not registered, how will he pay GST to the government? If you are not registered, guys, right now you're a student, you're not registered. Can you pay GST to the government? No. But I am registered, I can pay. So he should be registered. he should choose the option and he should intimate the publishing company that, hey, publishing company, pay me the GST, I will pay to the government. And last, once he takes up this option, he cannot move away from this option for 1 year from the date of choosing the option. So guys, author, is he under RCM by default? Yes. That means the recipient will pay the burden and the headache? Yes. But can he have an option of FCM? Yes, he has an option of FCM. 3 conditions. He should be registered. He can choose and he has to intimate the publishing company, and this option remains valid for 1 year from the date of choosing the option. Some lawyers lending cars met RBI, DIG, good government at A is author, T is tribunal, done. CCD, sponsored breakfast, reverse basic charge. Now guys, things are very simple. Next one, 1 year means financial loan, no, 1 year from the date of taking the option. Alright, very few are left and then this draconian section gets over. Sponsorship services. I'm going to the next page. Guys, this is Kaun Banega Karodpati, and they have come to you, they have come to Unacademy for sponsorship services. Guys, in this case, people don't get it easily, but Unacademy is the one who's receiving the services. Why? Because they are making the payment. So Unacademy is the one who will be receiving the services of sponsorship. KBC will charge, let's say, 5 crore rupees for sponsorship. On that, the government says that the burden and the headache will be on Unacademy because this is the recipient. Only if the recipient is a company or a partnership firm, LLP. What if KBC comes to Shah Rukh Khan and says sponsorship services? Then it will be under FCM because Shah Rukh Khan is not a company, partnership firm, LLP. So sponsorship services will be under RCM only if the recipient is a company, partnership firm, LLP. Some lawyers lending cars met RBI, DIG, good government at CCD, sponsored. We did sponsored, let's do CCD also. Guys, you're a landowner. If you sell your land to a construction company, will there be any GST? If you sell your land to a construction company, will there be any GST on selling of immovable property? No. But what if you give it on a long-term lease? What is long-term? More than 30 years? Then there will be GST and the construction company will be paying it. That is CCD, the C is construction company. Or what if the same landowner, instead of giving you a long-term lease, he gives you his FSI, free space index, or TDR, transferable development rights. That means his rights to develop, he gives it to you, he sells it to you. On that, again, there is GST, where the construction company will pay it, yes. So C and C both are construction, yes. Whether you give long-term lease or whether you give TDR and FSI, the construction company will pay GST ahead to the government. Next, D, very, very important. Welcome Vivek, welcome to class. We are looking at RCM. Very complicated, but I am trying to simplify it through a shortcut. Guys, this is a director providing services to a company. Please tell me, very important, if the company pays the director in the nature of salary, will there be any GST? No. So for salary there is no GST, FCM, RCM does not apply because there is no GST only. But what if the director is being paid sitting fees, commission, other charges other than salary? then there will be GST, yes. And because the director is small, the company is big, this will be under RCM, yes, the burden and the headache will be under RCM. So remember guys, director providing services only to a company, salary is not taxable, and GST etc. Is it taxable? Yes, but under FCM, no, under RCM, sorry. And last few guys, some lawyers lending cards met RBI, DIG, good government at CCD, sponsored breakfast, reversed basic charge. Guys, banks can't go everywhere. You can't have a bank for a small village, and hence you have something called business facilitators and bank correspondents. These are small persons, an HUF, a partnership firm, an individual. They can be BFs and BCs, and they help bank provide services to rural areas like deposit, money withdrawal, etc. They charge the bank some money. On that, the bank is expected to pay GST to the government. This is again under RCM. Yes, this is again under RCM. On this, there is another exemption. Let's go to the exemption also in the meanwhile. Okay. Guys, today we have done passenger service, transport services as an exemption, goods transport as an exemption, lawyer services as an exemption, and now the fourth exemption in today's session. Everyone, this is a business facilitator or business correspondent, and they are providing services to banks. If these banks are rural banks or rural branches, guys, does the government want to make it expensive for rural branches or rural banking? No. So the government says, because you are providing services to banks to help spread banking in rural areas, this is exempt. But if they are providing services to banks for other than rural areas, that is urban areas, then is it taxable? Yes. And who will pay the tax? Business correspondent, bank facilitators are small people, so the bank will pay under RCM, yes. So this one more exception down. Alright. Perfect. Some lawyers lending cars met RBI, DIG, good government at CCD, sponsored breakfast. So breakfast is BF and BC, basic charge is BC. And last guys is recovery agent. Recovery agent is someone who helps recover money. Recovery agent provides services to banks, financial institutions, NBFCs, and because they provide services, they will charge them bank, etc. Recovery agent is small, banks, etc. are big, so there will be RCM. But remember guys, if an academy has a recovery agent, it will be under FCM. If a gym, a jewelry shop has a recovery agent, all of that will be under FCM. Only for banks, financial institutions, NBFCs, it is under RCM. And just one thing I want to clarify. Out of all these people, direct selling agent, insurance agent, recovery agent, only direct selling agent should be an individual only. It cannot be a partnership or firm also. Direct selling agent should only and only be individuals. Now guys, is the ultimate test. I want y'all to identify from the shortcut the main service. So you have to just tell me the main service. Let me write the shortcut. If you can remember the shortcut with me. Some lawyers, they didn't have their own cars, so lending cars. Whom did they meet? They met RBI, they met DIG, and they met good government Where did they meet? At CCD. What did they do? They sponsored their breakfast and they reversed the basic charge. Good job. From the top, guys, I'm just going to ask you the services name. Please tell me. First is S, security services. The person who is providing the services should not be a company. L, legal services. There are exemptions and there is RCM. Lawyers are very happy. Same with tribunal services also. Yes, they are same. Lending of securities to SEBI registered brokers. They are big, so they will pay. Lending of cars, but the supplier should not be a company. The recipient should be a company. M, musician, photographer, artist. RBI, overseeing committee providing services to RBI. Direct selling agent, which has to be only an individual. Insurance agent, both these are providing services to bigger entities, so they will pay in the GST. Goods transport agency, guys, do they have an option of FCM, RCM both? Yes. RCM is 5%, FCM is 12%. Government, when they provide renting to registered persons, and government providing any other services except, guys, government gets active only in 3 cases, which is PAT. Author, guys, author also has an option of FCM, RCM, yes. Provided 3 conditions are satisfied, he should be registered, only then he can pay GST. He should choose the option and intimate to the supplier publishing company, and he cannot move out from the option for 1 year from the date of taking the option. Construction company, when they receive long-term leases or TDR FSI. Director other than salary from the company. Sponsorship services only if the recipient is a company, partnership firm, LLP. Bank facilitator, business correspondent only if in urban areas, rural areas is exempt, and recovery agent only of banks, financial institutions and NBFCs. I just want to point out one more thing. Even car lending have an option of FCM, RCM, same like GTA, yes, same like GTA. 12%, 5%, yes, same like GTA. Even car lendings have an option of FCM, RCM. Alright, so this is what it is. Guys, we are done with RCM. You have no idea how happy it makes me that we are done with RCM and we are done with it really well. This is complicated by any means, by any stretch of imagination. So if you are doing this well, good job and keep it up. Removing all of this. So this page is completely done. Now guys, a very important, something that is asked very often in the exam is a composition scheme. If you've done it from whichever professor or whichever book, participate in this composition scheme. Guys, the composition scheme is a very simple scheme. Any person who wants to be registered, they have an option to be registered under the composition scheme. In this scheme, there are steps. So first step is this scheme is only for 3 people, that is TRIM. Traders, restaurant service providers and manufacturers. Only these 3 people can take this scheme up, yes, and this scheme is under section 10.1 and 10.2 of the CGST Act. What is TRIM? Traders, restaurant service providers and manufacturers. Only 3 people can take up the scheme, yes. So I can take up the scheme. No, I'm a CA firm, I can't take up the scheme. Step 2. This is only for smaller people. What is small? That means your aggregate turnover last year is up to a certain limit. So your aggregate turnover is up to 1.5 crores. Even 1.4 exact is okay. Yes, exact is also okay. So your turnover should be maximum 1.5 crores. Just a minute. Your turnover should be maximum 1.5 crores. Yes, maximum 1.5 crores. But if you're in the northeastern states, all the northeastern states have a turnover of only 75 lakhs, except guys, northeastern states, you will remove Assam and you will put Uttarakhand. Those northeastern states have a limit of 75 lakhs. So if you are in any state, 1.5 crore is the limit, and if you are in the northeastern states, then 75 lakh is the limit. This is aggregate turnover, not this year but last year. And step number 3, once you take up the scheme, you cannot be doing some things. What is the shortcut for you cannot be doing some things? Once you take up the scheme, you cannot be casually needing ice cream, studying inter online or income tax online. What is this? As you cannot be a Nikita, what's your question? I'm not getting your question. UTT 1.5 up to 1.5 crores, yes. Union territory also up to 1.5 crores, yes. Except the northeastern states. Alright. Guys, casually needing ice cream, studying income tax online. You cannot be a casual taxable person. But guys, before entering the scheme, you can be all of this. But once you enter the scheme, you cannot be this casual taxable person. You cannot be non-resident taxable person. You cannot be. Guys, who are these people? Casual taxable person, non-resident taxable person. Let me explain to you. This is India. This is Electric Bike Company in Maharashtra, and there is an exhibition happening in Delhi. Can Electric Bike Company Maharashtra go to Delhi and supply goods in Delhi? No, they can't, because state-wise registration. They can directly supply from Bombay only, but they can't go there and set up their own setup. So if they do that, they will be called a casual taxable person. When you are registered in one state but temporarily you want to make supplies in another state, then they are called a casual taxable person. And in the same exhibition, if Tesla comes from abroad, let's say this is an exhibition of electric cars and bikes, and if Tesla comes from abroad, that Tesla will be called non-resident taxable person. Guys, assuming Tesla comes after going to 5 countries, that's a shortcut for something ahead called returns. So this, guys, is step number 3. You cannot be casual taxable person or non-resident taxable person. You cannot be supplying non-taxable goods. Exempt is okay, nil is okay, but you cannot be supplying non-taxable goods. You cannot be manufacturing prohibited goods like ice cream, aerated water, pan masala and tobacco. You cannot be manufacturing them. Trading is okay, but manufacturing is not okay. You cannot be supplying services except restaurant services. You cannot be supplying interstate, within the state is okay, and you cannot be doing online. So these things you cannot do. But what about before entering the scheme? Can I do that? Yes. But once you enter the scheme, you cannot do these things. That is step number 3, casually needing ice cream, studying income tax online. Guys, are you all understanding this? Please let me know in the chat box. Are you all getting these things? Yes, please. The others? Yes. Okay. Guys, these are shortcuts. All the shortcuts have been incorporated in the QuickBooks, so don't worry. If you're new to the shortcuts, you will get a hang of it. Step 1 is trim, step 2 is turnover, aggregate turnover, and step 3 is these things you cannot do. Now guys, till when can you be in this composition scheme? Guys, composition scheme, once you buy a phone, can you put the phone on loud and can you switch it to silent also? Yes, same way guys, when you register, can you be under the normal scheme and can you be under the composition scheme if you want to switch? Yes. So both are registration only, one is normal scheme, one is composition scheme. We are talking about the composition scheme. Now this scheme is so good that whenever you supply, let's say you supplied shoes worth 10 lakh rupees, on that you have to pay GST only at the rate of 1%, 5% or 1%. This is the rate, yes, rate is 151, traders 1%, manufacturers 1%, restaurant service providers 5%. But guys, this scheme is so good. Is the government losing out? Yes. Guys, from 18% they've come to 1%. No, we can't register under both. You have to be only one. Can your phone be on loud and on silent at the same time? No. So same way, you can't be registered under both at the same time. Guys, here the government loses a lot of revenue. Where is 18%, 28% and where is 1.5 and 1%? Hence the government says, listen, here you cannot take any credit. So if you buy an AC, guys, if the shoe company buys an AC, will they pay GST on that AC? Yes. But can they take credit of the GST? No, they can't take any credit. And they can't even charge GST to the customers. That 1.5 and 1% they can't charge. So when they sell a shoe, can they sell the shoe for 1000 rupees plus 1%? No, they can't charge it. They have to pay it from their own pocket. So what are the negatives? No ITC. You cannot charge GST to your customers. So how do you pay? You have to pay from your own pocket. Yes. And because you can't charge GST, you can't even issue a tax invoice. So then what do you issue? You issue a normal bill of supply. You issue a normal bill of supply. But guys, traders love it. Where is 18 and 28% and where is only 1%? So traders love it. This makes things cheaper for them. So hence it's a very, very good scheme. Until when can you take this scheme? I'll tell you. Guys, once you cross the limit of 1.5 crore or 75 lakh, you have to be out of the scheme. Once you cross the threshold, you have to be out of the scheme because it's only for small people. So once you cross the threshold, you're out of the scheme. Once you start doing any of these things, like you start doing interstate supply or online supply or services, you're out of the scheme. And once you're out of the scheme, within one week, you have to intimate the government that, listen, I'm out of the scheme. And within 1 month, you have to tell the government what all stock, etc. you have so that they can start giving you credit. So can you withdraw from the scheme? Yes. You can voluntarily withdraw from the scheme. Yes. Can you forcefully withdraw from the scheme? Yes, if you cross the threshold, etc. And can the officer also remove you from the scheme? Yes, if the officer feels you don't deserve, you're a CA, how can you take the scheme? They can also get you out. Yes. And once you withdraw, within 7 days, you need to intimate the government that, listen, online of course, you have to tell the government that, listen, I'm out of the scheme. How will the government know, guys, otherwise? And within 30 days, you have to give them a stock of how much you have stock, etc. So now they can give you ITC credit because now we are under the normal scheme. Guys, can I take this scheme up today, 26th Jan or 26th Feb, sorry. Can I take this scheme up today? Yes, I can. But if I'm already registered under the regular scheme, can I switch to this scheme today? No, I can't. I have to wait till 1st of April. Very detailed scheme, guys. Let's read it. Composition scheme is 10.1. Check for trim. Check aggregate turnover. What is aggregate turnover? Very, very important definition, guys. Aggregate turnover. Please pay a lot of attention to the definition of aggregate turnover. This is electric bike company. I'll tell you what all should be included in aggregate turnover. If you make any exempt supply, included. Taxable supply, included. Export supply, included. Non-taxable supply, included. Intrastate supply, included. Interstate supply included, that means all outward supply is included, yes. Guys, what if you're supplying petrol, diesel? Still yes, because that's non-taxable still. Anything you supply, guys, again I'm telling you, you will make a mistake here because most students make a mistake here. Everything that is outward, will it be included? Yes, except three things. IIG. Anything inwards will not be included. Any interest that you earn will not be included. And when you make taxable supplies last year, did you have GST? That GST will not be included in this calculation. So what is aggregate turnover? Aggregate turnover is all outward supply except three things: IIG, no inwards, no interest, no GST on the supply. And aggregate turnover has to be seen per pan. Guys, what if I'm electric bike company Maharashtra and I have electric bike company Tripura? First, step one, am I trim? Am I a trader, restaurant service provider or manufacturer? Yes. Step 2, my aggregate turnover, guys, what is my limit? My limit is 1.5 crore or 75 lakhs. I am in Tripura also. Because one of my branches or one of my distinct entities is in Tripura, my limit is 75 lakhs. And now, guys, the turnover here is 60, the turnover here is 20. What is my aggregate turnover? Aggregate turnover is one pan, one turnover. My aggregate turnover is 80. Can I take up the scheme? No, I can't. But what if this is 10 lakhs? Then what is my aggregate turnover? Last year, 70 lakhs. Can I take up the scheme? Yes, I can. But can I take it only for Maharashtra and not for Tripura? No. One pan, one turnover, one scheme. Here, guys, one pan, one turnover, one scheme. Alright. Guys, can the shoe company provide any services? No. Casually needing ice cream, studying, income tax, online. So they cannot be providing services. Studying is services, S for studying, S for services. They cannot provide services. But now recently, marginal services have been allowed. What is marginal services? Last year's turnover was 10% or 5 lakhs, whichever is higher. Last year's turnover was 10% or 5 lakhs, whichever is higher, will be allowed. So if last year's turnover was 70 lakhs, 10% is 7 lakhs or 5 lakhs, whichever is higher, up to 7 lakhs, can you provide services? Yes. So earlier services were not allowed, but now is it allowed? Yes, up to 7 lakhs it is allowed. Alright. I'm feeling a little drained. I'm sure it's been a long day for you as well, but it's been a very long day for me, a very exciting day also. So we'll take a 5-minute testing the mic. Guys, can you all hear me? Lag? Okay. Guys, can you all hear me now? I think should get better now. Can you all hear me now, guys? Yes? Okay. So what we'll do is we'll take a 5-minute break, nothing longer than that, and then we'll come back. It's a complicated chapter, but once we're done, guys, and we'll be very happy to be done with this chapter. So we'll take a 5-minute break, come back. In case you have any question, reach out to me. Thank you so much. Alright, guys, back, and just the last leg of this chapter is left, and then we're done with this chapter as well. Guys, there are some really good questions from the module, can't wait for them. Marginal services is allowed. This is a proviso to section 10(1). You can withdraw from the scheme voluntarily if you want ITC, etc. Why would you take this? Because if you want ITC, the scheme does not give you any ITC. Automatic withdrawal when you do one of the things or you cross the threshold limit, or the GST officer can also take you out of the scheme. No tax can be collected, bill of supply has to be issued, and composition scheme has to be taken for all the entities under the same PAN. But guys, this scheme was great, but it was only for trim people. What about other than trim people? Example, a CA, example, a tailor, example, a salon, example, an event organizer. For all those people, because they were service providers, this scheme was not there. So hence the government introduced another scheme which is very similar under section 10(2)(a), which is composition scheme for small service providers. In that, step 1 was basically you should be a service provider, not trim, but you should be a service provider. Step 2, again your aggregate turnover you will calculate in the previous year, and that should be up to 50 lakhs. Yes, up to 50 lakhs. No northeastern special limit, same 50 lakhs limit. And step 3 is the same. You cannot be casually needing ice cream, studying income tax online. Only thing is studying is not there because now you're a service provider. The rate of GST here is 6%. Yes, that's a whooping 6%, guys. And when I say 6%, 3% CGST, 3% SGST. Here also when I say 1, 5 and 1, half will be CNS. There can never be IGST because you cannot do interstate. Here also you cannot take ITC. Here also you cannot charge GST. Here also you have to issue bill of supply to the customers. And guys, in both these schemes you will wake up 4 times in the year only. That's a good thing. That means every quarter, whatever sales you made, you will wake up and you will pay the GST on that supply. Every quarter you have to pay the tax, not every month. That's a good thing. Here also, guys, you can withdraw the same things. Only thing, rate is changing, limit is changing, and this is service provider. This is section 10(2)(a), small service provider scheme, composition scheme for small service providers. And with that, guys, we are done with almost 35% of the portion, 35 to 40% of the portion. With exemptions, I think 45% of the portion we are done through. We will also do one more chapter today, but right now it's time for something that I really like, and that is the only thing that will get you better in your exams, is sums. The more you look at sums, the better you will get. So I'm uploading the book ICAI Module. Here we go. So this is the book, and this is charge of GST. Perfect. Let's do this. Taking you to the end of charge of GST where we have all the sums. Let's start. Guys, you all can participate wholeheartedly in this discussion. First question over to you all. Please tell me, read and please tell me who is liable to pay GST, FCM, RCM or no GST. Everyone, the first, A. Arbitrary tribunal to the business entity. This is business entity will pay under RCM. Next, sponsorship services by a company to an individual. This is FCM, company will pay. Why not individual? Because recipient will pay only if it's a partnership firm, company or LLP. And last, C. Government providing renting of immovable property to a registered business entity. The recipient under RCM. Again, this is RCM. Alright. Second question, please. Vivek Goyal. Let's do this. This is Vivek Goyal, a director who's providing services to A to Z, and he's getting sitting fees definitely under RCM. Next, please. Raghu Associates provides sponsorship services to an LLP. RCM. Central government is exempt. No, central government renting immovable property is not exempt. Remember, good government, GG. Renting of immovable property, it is taxable under RCM, Nandish. Next, Safe Trans, a goods transport agency, GTA, providing services to a partnership firm which is unregistered. Guys, this is an exception. Unregistered partnership firm will also be under RCM. Excellent answering, guys. Nikita, Namita, good job. Keep it up. Next, legal fees. Shushrut, an advocate from Tattva Trading Company, having a turnover of 50 lakh in the last year. Is it a big business entity? Yes. This is also under RCM. Again, guys, here also, please see. State the person liable to pay GST. The first one. Insurance agent to insurance company. RCM. Next, services supplied by a recovery agent to a car dealer. Guys, car dealer is not RCM. This is FCM. Next, security services provided to a registered person. RCM, provided the security services is not a company. Alright. Excellent, guys. Sultan and Sons, a partnership firm, is a wholesaler of taxable product P and exempt product Q. Aggregate turnover last year is 130 lakh. Can they opt for 10-1 and 10-2 composition scheme? Step 1, guys, are they TRIM? Are they traders, restaurant service providers or manufacturers? Yes, they are traders. Step 2, is their turnover, they are in Maharashtra, is their turnover up to 1.5 crores last year aggregate turnover? Yes. Step 3, they cannot be casually needing ice cream, studying, income tax, online. Is it okay for them making exempt supply? Yes, exempt is okay, non-taxable is not okay. Exempt is okay, exempt by way of notification is okay, non-taxable is not okay. So this is perfectly right. Sultan and Sons, welcome to the world of composition scheme. Next, a person availing composition scheme under 10-1 and 10-2 in Haryana during the financial year crosses turnover of 1.5 crore. Will he be allowed to pay tax under composition scheme for the entire year? No. And guys, what are the formalities once you are out of the scheme? Within 7 days, you need to intimate the government, and within 30 days, you need to give them a list of your stock. Very interesting, guys. Please say whether these guys can take the composition scheme up. Their turnover is within 1.5 crore. The first one, Mohan Enterprises. Excellent, Nikita. Trading of pan masala, is it allowed? Casually needing ice cream, studying, income tax, online. Ice cream, pan masala, manufacturing is not allowed. Trading is perfectly okay. That's a trick question here. Amulya, welcome to class. This one he can take, yes. What about the next one? Punjab and Haryana and want to do neighboring states means interstate supply is not allowed. They can't take it. Subramaniam has 2 registered places. Aggregate turnover for both is 1.2 lakhs, 1.2 crores. Can he take up the composition scheme? Yes, he can. But for only one of the places? No, that's not allowed. One PAN, one turnover, one scheme. That means under one PAN, if you have 3-4 entities and you are taking composition scheme for one, you have to take composition scheme for all. Guys, read the 11th question and answer. I'll wait. Guys, Ajay is basically a service provider whose turnover last year was 45 lakh. Can he take the composition scheme under 10.1 and 10.2? Absolutely not. But can he take under 10.2A? Yes, he can take under 10.2A, 6% GST. And considering his aggregate turnover in the compute the amount of tax payable, assuming the aggregate turnover in the current financial year is 35 lakhs, so into 6%. It's very interesting. Will your answer be different if Mr. Ajay procures some items required for providing repair services from neighboring states? Can you get interstate supplies? Yes. You cannot supply interstate, but you can get inputs which are interstate. That is not a problem at all. And the last question, guys, here, please read and please answer. Good question, good answering, Nikita. United Electronics is a registered dealer in supplying all types of electronic appliances. The aggregate turnover last year was 120 lakhs. The firm also wants to do some repair services. Can the firm offer 110.1 and 10.2? Yes, they can. And if yes, what amount of marginal services? 12 lakh or 12 lakh, 10% of last year's turnover or 5%, whichever is higher. So 12 lakh they can supply. Good job, Gayatri. Welcome to class. This one is the end of a chapter called Charge of GST. Very, very happy that we finished 4 chapters and almost half of exemptions. So very, very good start to the session today. Guys, what we're going to do now is move very, very swiftly and very nicely to a chapter called Time of Supply. Alright. Guys, while we do that, I'm just going to go back to my quick book. All these notes, all these books can be found in the Google Drive link that I've shared at the start of the lecture. And in case you have any doubts, you can join this group. The Telegram link is pinned. You can ask me any questions that you have there as well. Charge of GST is done. Now I think here is registration, but we are going to a chapter called Time of Supply. Guys, a really exhausting day. We will take a 4-minute break. We'll come back. We'll finish Time of Supply and whatever time it finishes in like 40-45 minutes. And then we'll end the session. Very, very interesting session happening on GST. Thank you. Alright, Monica and whoever else has joined in and the others, welcome back. We're looking at time of supply as the next chapter. One after the other, you're getting better and better with your understanding of GST. Guys, if we manage to complete GST concepts in about 2.5 days, then that leaves us a lot of time for more questions from the RTP, from the MTPs, from the MCQ booklets, etc. So let's do that. This is time of supply. Guys, why is time of supply important? Is because the government wants the money as early as possible. If the supply happens this month, you will pay the GST in the next month to the government, so they are happy. But if the supply happens after 4 months, then you will give it in the 5th month to the government and they are not happy with that. So time of supply, the key word is as early as possible. Earlier the better. Whenever you see the time, right now if you see the time in your watch, it will be different time. But generally whenever you see the time of supply, the time will be either 12 o'clock or 13 o'clock. That's how I remember the shortcut for supply chapter. For time of supply, guys, remember how much, at what age did you realize the value of things? 15. When do you charge your electric bike? 9. So can you explain set 2A of composition levy? Nandish, did you miss it or did you not understand it? What was the issue? Not understood. So what we can do, Nandish, is let's discuss this on Telegram group. Are you a part of the Telegram group that is pinned above? Yes. So let's connect there on voice notes and audio notes and we'll finish our understanding there. Done? Is that okay? Is anyone any doubts besides what's happening here? You can always drop a message because here the time is limited. I want to finish everything in this time frame. So if you have any doubts or repetitions, you can always ask me there and I will explain, no problem. Okay. So time of supply, earlier the better, and section 12 and section 13 deal with time of supply. Section 12 deals with time of supply of goods and section 13 deals with time of supply of services. Guys, my job is to make sure that you're exam ready with sections, and that's why I'm giving you so many shortcuts for sections as well. So whenever you see the time, always think it's only 12 or 13. In 12, there are different sections from 12.1 to 12.6, and same way in services also there is 13.1 to 13.6. Let's first talk about 12.4 and 13.4. How do you remember this, guys? Whenever you want to gift a friend or a family member vouchers, you will always give them 4 vouchers. Never 1, never 2, never 3, but always give them 4 vouchers. So basically you are buying vouchers. So what is the time of supply in case of vouchers? Let's try and see this. Guys, you bought some vouchers from Shopper Stop. This is Shopper Stop. This is Shopper Stop or Amazon, and you bought some vouchers from Shopper Stop or Amazon, and this is you. 4 vouchers you bought and you want to give it to your friend for his or her birthday. But guys, please tell me, will your friend know what will he buy? Will you know, or will Shopper Stop know, or will Amazon know what your friend is going to buy from Amazon or from Shopper Stop? No. So the supply is not identifiable. So how will Shopper Stop know what GST to pay to the government on those 4 vouchers? And hence in this case, we all will wait till the voucher is redeemed. And once the voucher is redeemed, let's say your friend bought a watch, you know on watch what GST to be paid, and hence if the supply is unidentifiable, then the time of supply will be the date of redemption. But instead of Shopper Stop, guys, what if you bought a Titan watch voucher? Do you know what your friend is going to buy in Titan watches? Yes, he's going to buy a watch. So the supply is identifiable, and if it's identifiable and you know from the start, then the time of supply is the date of issue of the voucher. Is this the link for the fast track batch? Yes, this link is for the fast track batch. I'm also just checking. 1 second. Is there a problem with the link, Nandish? Just let me know. It's not working. Okay. Let me give you just 1 second, guys. Okay, I'll just generate a fresh link. Just 1 second. Just 1 second, guys. Just check, Nandish, if this link is working. This should be working, guys. Alright. No, even this is not working. Funny. Just 1 second. It's working. Okay, guys, maybe maybe if you're already joined in that link, it doesn't work, but if it's not joined, you will get access. Perfect. All right, guys, coming back to the main concept, Nandish, I would just request you to focus on the chapter on hand so that you don't miss out on the details. All right, so guys, if the voucher is unidentifiable, then we will all wait for the date of redemption. But if the voucher is identifiable, then the date of issue of that voucher by shopper stop, that will be the time of supply. Guys, this is for goods, Titan watch or shopper stop. This is section 12.4. But if the same section is instead of Titan or shopper stop, there is a salon whose voucher you are giving, which is services. The same concept applies even for services. Guys, that is what is the mirror image. 12.4 and 13.4 are just the same. Yes, they're just the same. So guys, let's recap. 12.4 and 13.4 are vouchers. Yes, what about vouchers? Supply is identifiable, date of issue. Supply is not identifiable, we'll wait for it to be redeemed, and whenever it is redeemed, that time that date of redemption will be the time of supply. Alright. Now guys, the next one, I'm just erasing this so that we can discuss the next one. This is electric bike company and they have sold a bike to you, and you have promised to them that you will pay them by 31st March. They said that, listen, if you don't pay us by 31st March, you will have to pay interest at the rate of 6% per annum. Guys, please tell me from today's session value of supply, is interest to be added to the value of supply? Is there GST on that interest? Yes, there will be GST on that interest. Now, this interest, can it be sometimes waived off, guys? Can it be waived off? If you're a regular customer, can they say don't pay interest? Yes. Can it happen that you pay on time and there is no interest on you also? Yes. It can happen that there is no interest also. So it can be waived off. There can be chances that there is no interest, and there can be chances that you actually pay interest also. So how will we know when to apply or what about the interest? We will know only when you actually receive the money. So hence, the time of supply in this case is very simple. In the case of interest, late fee, penalty, etc., it is very simple. Time of supply is when the supplier receives the money. Yes, the supplier receives the money. Guys, all these sections are from the supplier's perspective. Yes, every section is from the supplier's perspective. So this is a shortcut. 6% interest, 12.6 and 13.6. So in case of interest, late fee, penalty, what is the section? 12.6 and 13.6. Let's recap. What is 12.6 and what is 13.6? For goods, 12.6, and for services, 13.6. When you have to pay interest, late fee, penalty on those goods or services, whenever you pay, whenever you receive, from the supplier's perspective, whenever you receive, that date will be the time of supply. But guys, what if you receive it in your books of accounts on 26th of February, but in your bank account on the 1st of March? This is books of accounts and this is bank account. Which date will you take? The key word is earlier, earlier, earlier. So you will take 26th Feb. That is section 12.4, 13.4, 12.6 and 13.6. They are exact mirror images. Yes. Guys, what if none of the sections apply? Then there is a residual section 12.5 and 13.5. What is this residual section? Let me tell you a little about it. First, I will give you an idea, a practical example. Guys, you started selling idlis every morning outside a school, a college, etc. and your idli stall became a very big hit. You made a lot of money, and of course when people paid you, they paid you in cash, so you did not pay any GST, you did not pay any tax to the government. They finally raided your house, and in your house, under the pillow, in the blanket, in the walls, everywhere they found money, and they asked you that, listen, did you supply anything? You said, yes, I supplied food. So they said, where is the GST? You said, listen, I did not pay it. So they told you to pay with interest and penalty, and today you went and paid it 26th February. In these kind of situations where you don't know any of the sections, whether it was vouchers, whether it is interest, whether it is any other section you don't know, then the residual section says that whenever you pay the money or whenever you file your return, that time will be the time of supply. This is for 12.5 and 13.5. So let's recap, guys. 12.5 and 13.5. Residual sections, yes, residual means when none of the other sections apply, then the residual sections will apply. And in case of these residual sections, whenever you pay or whenever you file your return, that day will be the time of supply. Let's do one more section which is easiest, 12.1 and 13.1. Actually, they are useless sections. They only tell you that they only introduce the section. They say that if you're looking for time of supply of goods, you follow 12. And if you want to follow a time of supply of services, you follow section 13. That's what they say. So they are very useless sections, but I like them because useless means they get done very fast. Next, very, very important, guys. Very, 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 very important. In fact, we'll do a December 21 question on this. 12.3 and 13.3. Here, this is 3, 12.3 and 13.3 both are based on RCM supplies. Whenever there is goods which are subject to RCM or services which are subject to RCM. You remember goods, guys, chewing cashews, smoking tobacco, BD, using lotteries. And services, you remember so many, some lawyers, lending cars, etc. Whenever there is RCM, it will be 12.3 or 13.3. On the screen, guys, is an example. Guys, this is an agriculturist. He is supplying cashews to a registered person. Please tell me, is this under RCM? Yes. The burden plus the headache is on the registered person. So this is classic case of RCM. Here, guys, I am giving you a shortcut which is going to be really helpful because you don't even have to look at the sum in the exam. All you need to find out are 4 things, actually only 3 things. The shortcut is guys, by the way, in this section 12.3 and 13.3, the only 2 sections where the focus is on the recipient. You know, RCM, the focus is on the recipient. The shortcut is, absolutely right, Nikita. The shortcut is recipient pays in 31 entirely. This is the shortcut. All you need to now do is fill in the blanks. When did the recipient receive the goods? R is received. When did he receive the goods? Let's say he received the goods today, 26th Feb. When did the recipient pay the money? Let's say he paid the money in March. In his books of accounts on 5th March, in his bank account on 7th March. So 5th March. What is the date of invoice? Let's say the date of invoice is 1st of March. So 31st day from that, that is 31st March. So all you need to do is fill in these three blanks, and once you get these three blanks filled, you will get your answer. So recipient pays in 31 entirely. What is R? Date of receipt of goods. What is P? Date of payment. And what is in 31? 31 days from the date of invoice. And if you're looking at after the date of invoice, 30 days. Module has given after, but it's the same thing, guys. From the date of invoice, 31 days, or after the date of invoice, 30 days. And you know the keyword, guys. Will it be 26th Feb or 5th March or 31st March? What will be the answer? The answer will be 26th Feb. Earlier, the better. But what is this entirely? Guys, first, only if these three dates are not given, this is also not given, this is also not given, and this is also not given. Because if even two are given, you will do earlier of the two. Even one is given, you will take that date, but all three are not there, then only you will check this. And what is this? This is entry in the books of accounts. Whenever the date you pass an entry in the books of accounts, that will be the time of supply. But everything is from whose perspective, guys? From the recipient's perspective. Because this is RCM, so from the recipient's perspective. So this is recipient pays in 31 entirely. I hope this is understood, guys. I'm just writing the shortcut here. Recipient pays in 31 entirely. When you do the sums from the module, you will see how effective this section and this shortcut is. This is the only section which is from the recipient's perspective. And same thing for RCM, but in RCM, guys, for services, I'm just going to remove this. Guys, this is a lawyer, and the lawyer has given services to a big business entity. The lawyer is charging 10 lakh rupees. On that, the burden and the headache is on the recipient. This, if you know, is under RCM. Here also is the same shortcut for time of supply. Recipient pays in 31 entirely. But only thing is, in case of services, you never know when you are going to get the services, guys. Unacademy services probably started for you 2 months back and is going to end 2 months later. So receipt of services you cancel out. And in case of in 31, you make it in 61. So what is the shortcut? The date of payment, from whose perspective? The recipient's perspective. 61st date from the date of invoice. And if both these are not available, only then date of entry. So let's say you made the payment today, 26th Feb. The invoice was received on the issued on the 1st of March. So 61 days, 1st of March to 1st of April, 31. And 1st of April to 30th April is 61 days. So 30th April, whichever is earlier, 26th Feb. But what if both of them are not given? Then you will look at entry in the books of accounts of the recipient. Again, guys, the focus is on the recipient. So what is the shortcut? The shortcut is recipient pays in 31 entirely and recipient cancel pays in 61 entirely. These are the two shortcuts for time of supply RCM. Very, very interesting. I just want to add one more detail and then this is done. Guys, this is electric bike company and they are getting some services bahar se. This is an architect and architect is supplying services worth 10 lakhs to electric bike company. Guys, please tell me which section will this supply be under? 7(1)(b). Whether it's for business or doesn't matter, but consideration should be there. Is there a consideration? Yes, 10 lakhs. On which the government is smiling. Yes, they are expecting GST on this. And who's supposed to pay it? The electric bike company is supposed to pay it. RCM. Okay. Here, because this is services, the shortcut is recipient pays in 31 entirely. Recipient goes out, pays in 61 entirely. Now watch out. This is great. Just a small thing that you need to clarify. When you go to, let's say you want to buy a phone and you go to Samsung store, will they give you an invoice, guys? Please tell me in the chat box. When you go to Samsung store and to buy a phone, will they give you an invoice? Yes. But if let's say the shop is your uncle's shop and you go and buy a mobile phone, will he give you the invoice or he'll say, listen, it's okay, you can pay me whenever you want? He will not issue an invoice. Same thing happens, guys. If this person who's supplying services to you is your related party or your associate enterprise. What is associate enterprise? We'll see at CA final. But think of it as a related party. If this foreign supplier is an associated party or a related party, then generally they don't give an invoice. So hence this date is to be ignored. And because this date is ignored, entry comes ahead. So payment date or entry date, whichever is earlier. I repeat, whenever you're getting services bahar se, first, whenever you're getting services bahar se, and you're getting it from an associate enterprise or related party, will they issue an invoice to you? No. And hence, pays in 61 entirely will become pays entirely. So payment date or entry date, whichever is earlier. Entry does not become an end goal, it comes in the front. So payment date or entry date, whichever is earlier. Don't worry, in our ICAI module question, we'll test all these questions. Okay, now guys, we are left with just one last section, that is 12.2 and 13.2, which is basically goods and services under FCM. So that's the last thing, and then we are done for the day. We will do some questions and then we'll be done for the day as well. So guys, this one, perfect. Guys, this is electric bike company, very simple. They are supplying a bike to you. This is under FCM. There is 18,000 GST where you will bear the burden. Electric bike company will collect it from you and will pay to the government. So this is classic case of FCM, forward charge mechanism. In this case, what is the time of supply? The moment electric bike company supplies the bike to you, they will say, I demand payment. And time of supply is the earliest of the 3 dates. This is a shortcut, guys. I demand payment and time of supply is the earliest of these 3 dates. What is I demand payment? I is invoice date. If they've issued an invoice to you, let's say they issued an invoice little late on 15th March, then 15th March is the invoice date. But whether they issue the invoice late, there is actually a due date of invoice. D is due date of invoice. The invoice should be issued, guys. There is a chapter called invoice. In that, there is a section called 31. And 31.1 says that in case of goods, whenever the goods are removed or whenever they are delivered, on or before that day the invoice should be issued. So let's say the goods are removed today, 26th of February, then by 26th February the invoice should have been issued. That's the due date. Or the payment date, let's say the payment was made in advance many months back when you booked the bike. So let's say 15th November, whichever is earlier, let's say 15th November will be your answer. But then the government realized that in case of goods, a lot of people pay in advance a small amount, and because of this the government, although will get GST earlier, but it will be a big problem for businessmen, and hence the government said, listen, this payment will be ignored. So Nandish, you asked whether circulars are important. Yes, a notification like this is important. This is notification number 66 of the year 2017, where they said that advance payments will be ignored. But what about later payments? They anywhere get ignored, because if any date is after 15th March or 26th Feb, anyways it will get ignored because it's earlier of the following. So how do I tackle it? I ignore all payments in case of goods. I demand payment, I write the shortcut, but I cancel out payment and I quote section 66, notification 66 of 2017. So it's only two dates, invoice date or due date. Invoice date or due date, whichever is earlier. So this answer will be 26th Feb. But now let's understand what is due date. Due date is the maximum date by which the invoice should be issued. For goods, whenever the goods are removed, guys, you all have already, most of you all have completed your portion, at least your classes once. So you should be able to recollect this. If you're not, there is some really big gap. You have to pay a little more attention, guys. Whenever the goods are removed or whenever the goods are delivered, by then the invoice should be issued 31/1 or 31/4 in case of continuous supply of goods. What is continuous supply of goods? Like the gas connection in your house. Is there a continuous supply of gas whenever you switch it on? Yes. In case of continuous supply of goods, as and when the statements are issued or as and when the payments are made, by then the invoice should be issued. Or very important, under 31(7), if goods are given on sale or approval basis. Example, you are confused which mobile phone to buy, so the shopkeeper sends you 7 mobile phones and say, listen, I know you choose whichever you want, you keep that and send the rest back to me. That is called sale on approval basis. In case of sale on approval basis, whenever you approve, by then the invoice should be issued, or maximum 6 months. So for goods, the due date is 31/1, 4 and 7. Nikita, good revision there. The others also need to buck up on the revision front. So 31/1 is the most common one. Whenever the goods are removed or delivered, by then the invoice should be issued. 31/4 in case of continuous supply. Whenever the statements or payments are made, by then the invoice should be issued. And in case of 31/7, whenever approval happens, or maximum 6 months from the date of removal, the invoice should be issued. This is I demand payment. So only in case of FCM the shortcuts are different. Yes, this is I demand payment. And the last thing for today, 13.2, that is services which are based on FCM. Just one second. Alright, let's do this, guys. 13.2 is FCM for services. I'm just going to plug in a new slide and just discuss that. 13 is services and 2 is FCM. It's a CA firm. Let's say it's my CA firm and we are providing services to our clients. We charge them 1 lakh rupees and we also charge them 18,000 GST. They bear the burden and we bear the headache. This is classic case of FCM, but this is services. Guys, in this case, an invoice has to be issued and there is a due date also here also. If the invoice is issued within the due date, the invoice is appreciated, they liked it and they will respect the invoice. So the shortcut will be IP. I'll tell you what is IP. I is invoice. But if the invoice is after the due date, issued after the due date, then it is late. So anything late you will ignore. So the shortcut is PP. So IP or PP. If the invoice is on time, IP. If the invoice is late, then PP. What is IP? I is invoice date. P is payment date. From whose perspective? From the supplier. Only one place was recipient's perspective. Everyone else is supplier's perspective. And if the invoice is late, then it is provision date. When did you provide the services? Or payment date. So payment date remains constant. Yes. It is either invoice date or provision date. Now for this, you should know by when the invoice should be issued. So there is a section called 31 subsection 2 which says that in case of services, don't hurry up. You have 30 days to issue the invoice. So if I provide the services on 1st of March, then I can issue an invoice by 30th of March. So I have 30 days to issue the invoice. And for banks, financial institutions and NBFCs, I have 45 days to issue the invoice. If I issue the invoice within time, IP. If I issue the invoice late, it is PP. In case of continuous supply of goods, in case of continuous supply of services, this is services. Example, if I am going to be continuously providing accounting services to a client, it's continuous supply of services. Generally, any contract which lasts for more than 3 months is continuous supply of services. For goods, there is no such restriction. I'll open the contract, and if there is a due date of payment, I will take that date as the due date for invoice. If that is not mentioned, then if the payment date is mentioned in the contract, that date, and if that is also not mentioned, then whenever the services are to be completed, that date. Guys, this is complicated, not so important. 30 and 45 days is a more common one. I repeat, for service industry, how many days do we have to issue the invoice in? 30 days. If you're a bank, financial institution, NBFC, then 45 days. If you remember this, which is great, most common is this. In rare cases of continuous supply of services, you will open the contract, which definitely should be more than 3 months, only then it is continuous supply. It is DPC, that is due date or payment date or completion date, whichever is mentioned, not whichever is earlier. And in case of cessation of services, cessation means I don't like someone's services, so I'm ending the services on the 1st of March in 3 days. So whenever the cessation happens, by then the invoice should be issued. This is called cessation of services. Cessation of services like a breakup. After a breakup, you don't want to see the other person. Same way, after cessation, you don't want to see the other person. So hence in that case, that is the due date of issuing invoice. So if the invoice is on time, IP. If the invoice is late, then PP. So here, guys, is our entire IP, PP, FCM, RCM. I'm just going to draw it one last time on the next page and we will revise. As time of supply is 12 or 13. 12 is for goods, 13 is for services. 12.1 and 13.1 are only for introduction. Yes. 12.2 and 13.2 are for FCM. Yes, where we have different shortcuts. I, demand payment, ignore payment, invoice date or due date. Whenever the goods are removed or delivered, by then that is a due date. And for 13.2, it is IP or PP, whether invoice is on time or late. IP is invoice or payment date, PP is provision or payment date. Here, in case of services, the invoice should be issued within 30 days. This is the most difficult one. 12.3 and 13.3 are very simple. They are both RCM. Focus suddenly changes on the recipient. Recipient pays in 31 entirely, or recipient pays in 31 entirely, recipient goes out, in becomes 61 entirely. 12.4 and 13.4 are vouchers. Date of redemption if you don't know the supply, and date of issue if you know the supply. 12.5 and 13.5 are residual section, not important. Date of payment or date of filing return. And 12.6 and 13.6 is basically 6% interest, late fee and penalty. So in this case, whenever you receive the money, that is the time of supply. Guys, now I know it's time of the day at the end, but still I want to do the last bit, that is look at the sums. Very, very important to do that. I'm just uploading the module. Let's finish this. The ultimate test, guys, is this. If you can do this well, it's a good job. Perfect. Here are the questions. Explain the significance of time of supply under GST. Time of supply establishes your liability. Whenever there is time of supply, the government can expect the GST to be paid in the next subsequent month. GST is payable on advance received for supply of goods and services taxable under forward charge. Do you agree with the statement? Support your answer with legal provisions. Guys, in case of supply of goods, advance payment will be ignored. So GST is not payable on advance payment in case of supply of goods. But in case of services, it is IP or PP. So yes, in case of services, it will be payable, but not in case of goods. Notification number 66 of 2017. We'll just do the first one in this case. Determine the time of supply in the following cases, assuming GST under reverse charge. So guys, reverse charge, and this is goods. So goods means section 12. Reverse charge means 3. Recipient pays in 31 entirely. All you got to do is fill in the blanks. What is the date of receipt? 1st July. What is the date of payment? 10th August. What is the invoice date? 29 June. 31 days from it, 29 June to 29 July is 30 days. And 30th July. That's it, guys. Which is the earliest date? 1st of July is the answer. It is as simple as that. Let's do the third one. Again, recipient pays in 31 entirely. Here there are two payment dates, so you will do the same calculation twice. Part payment made on 30th June and the balance payment made on 20th July. So what you will do is recipient pays in 31 entirely. You will do twice. Everything remains the same, except payment date in this case will be 30th June and here will be 30th July. Otherwise, all details will be the same. Determine the time of supply in case the following cases, assuming GST is payable on reverse charge. This is services. So recipient pays in 31 entirely. This goes out. Payment date 61 days or entry. First one. What is the payment date? 10th August. What is the invoice date? 29 June. 29 June to 29 July, 30 days. 29 July to 29th August, 31 days. So 29th August or 10th August. So answer is 10th August. Part payment made on 30th June and balance payment made on 1st September. Same thing, because there are two payments. You'll have two dates. Two times you'll have to use the same shortcut. Payment is entered in the books of accounts on June 30 and debited in the bank account on June 26. You will take June 26 as the earlier payment date. Kabira Industries engage the services of a transporter for goods transport. As the moment I know it's transport, that is service, section 13. And it is a GTA road transport, I know it's RCM, so 13.3. Shortcut is recipient pays in 31 entirely. Removing recipient pays in 61. Just fill in the blanks, guys. Check the question, see the payment date. When was the payment? Advance payment was made on the same date, 17 June. So 17 June is the payment date. And what is the invoice? Invoice is 22nd July. So 61 days is July to August, 22nd August, 31 days. 22nd August to 21st September is 61st day, which is earlier 17th June. It's as simple as this. And how do you answer this in the exam? You will say that the above case is RCM, full stop, and thus time of supply is given under section 13.3 of the CAGST Act, full stop. The time of supply will be earlier of the following dates. You don't have to show them this. You have to say the time of supply will be earlier of the following dates. Payment date, that is 13 June, 17 June, or 61st date from the date of invoice, that is 21st June. Therefore, answer time of supply is equal to 17 June. Lots of questions. I don't think we'll be able to finish it, but we'll try how many ever we can. This is the next one, guys. Raju Private Limited receives the order and advance payment on 5th Jan for carrying out architectural design job. Is this service? Yes. Is this under RCM? No. So automatically FCM, IP or PP, depending on invoices on time or on late. The design was delivered on 23rd April. No invoice is issued by that time, so you are late. So PP, provision or payment. When is provision? 23rd April. When is payment? Advance payment 5th Jan. So what is the time of supply? 5th Jan. Seventh question. Investigation shows that 150 cartons of ceramic capacitors were dispatched on 2nd August. So this is ceramic capacitors, that is goods, so section 12. And there is no RCM on capacitors, so 12.2. I demand payment. Payment is to be ignored. Invoice date or due date. Due date is whenever the capacitors were removed or delivered. No invoice was raised, so invoice date is not there. But dispatched on 2nd August, so that is the due date of invoice, 2nd August. So answer is 2nd August is the time of supply. Very, very simple, guys. If you know the shortcut well, watch out in case you're not understanding it, because it's a fast track course. Watch out, this entire session is also recorded on my YouTube, as well as you can also watch it recorded here. So watch out, do this again once and you'll be pit pat with this concept. An order is placed on Ram and Company for supply of consignment of shoes. Shoes is goods, section 12, and it is FCM. So 12.2, I demand payment. Payment is to be ignored. Invoice date. Invoice on 2nd December, so 2nd December. And due date of invoice, whenever the goods are removed, the consignment gets ready and informs the customer. The customer collects the consignment on 7th December, so 7th December. So answer is 2nd December, that is the earlier date. Meal coupons are sold, so it's coupons, and they are meals, so section 12 goods and 4. The employees can use them in various stores for purchase of various edible items. It can be even grain, it can be chocolate, different GST rates, and hence we'll wait for date of redemption. What is the date of supply of coupons? Date of redemption. Next, a firm of advocates. The moment it's advocates, I know it's services, 13, and I know it's RCM, so 13.3. Recipient pays in 31 entirely. Recipient is out and in 61. All you got to do is fill in the blanks, guys, literally for this chapter. One of the most difficult chapters, but I've worked really hard to get you a shortcut. Use it, guys, otherwise time of supply can be very, very difficult in the exam. Payment date. The payment, finally the payment was made on 3rd November, so the payment is 3rd November. And what is the invoice date? 17th Feb. 61 days from 17th Feb. 17th Feb to 17th March, 28 days. 17th March to 17th April, 31 days. So that is 59 days. And 19th April, guys, is 61 days from the date of invoice. So answer is 19th April. Time of supply, 19th April. Guys, I hope this is understood. Moving to the next question, modern security company. Modern security company provides service of testing of electronic devices. So this is basically testing services. So section 13, and FCM. So section 13(2), IP or PP, depending upon when the invoice was issued. The batch was tested on the 4th and 5th September, but could not raise the invoice till 9th November. So you are very late. So provision or payment date. Provision is 5th September. Payment is December. So definitely time of supply is 5th September. I thought we could not do it, but I think we'll be able to finish. Next one is a firm of CAs. So it's service section 13, and it's FCM. So section 13(2). 13(2), yes. IP or PP. Let's do the first and the third one. The invoice was issued on 7th September. The provision of service was made on 1st August. Guys, if you make the service on 1st August, within 30 days you have to issue the invoice. You are issuing the invoice on 7th September. So you are late, and hence we will see PP, provision, which is 1st of August, and payment, which is 28th September. So the answer for the first one is 1st August. And let's now see the third one. Again, it's CA services only. So 13(2), IP or PP. Provision of service was remaining to be completed. Guys, you have not even completed the service and you've issued the invoice. Is that okay? Yes. Guys, you have to issue it within 30 days from the provision. Before that, whenever you want, it's okay. So are you on time? Yes, you are before time. So IP. Invoice date 7th September or payment date 3rd August. So answer is 3rd August. This is slightly tricky because the invoice is issued even before the provision. Guys, you can be before the due date, no problem, but after that you cannot be. After that is late, after 30 days, but before that is no problem. Next, guys, is 13th question. Pranav Associates, a partnership firm, provided recovery agent services. So this is services, and I know recovery agent is RCM. So section 13(3). Recipient pays in 31 entirely. Recipient is out in 61. Payment date. Payment was made on 18th April. Bank account was debited on 20th April. So payment date is 18th April. Invoice was issued on the 7th Feb. So 61 days. 7th Feb to 7th March is 28 days. 7th March to 7th April is 31 days. This is 59. So 9th April. So 9th April or 18th April. 9th April. So who's the person liable to pay GST? It's under RCM. So Pranav Associates will pay the GST. Sorry. Neutron Credits Inc., a non-banking financial company, will pay the GST, RCM, and on by which date time of supply is 9th April. Mr. X supplied goods. Goods means section 12. There is nothing like RCM, so this is FCM 12(2). So it is I demand payment, and payment is to be ignored. Invoice date is there is no invoice date given only. And what is the due date? Sorry guys, this is interest, my bad. So it is not 12(2), it is 12(6). On goods, interest is 12(6). 6% interest whenever you receive the interest. So when have you received the interest? In the supplier's perspective, made the payment, interest amounting to 2000 on the 2nd of Feb. So 2nd of Feb. What is the time of supply with regard to interest? 2nd of Feb, because that is the date of receipt. And the last question, I'm very glad we are the last question, guys. Munch and Munch Trading Company, a registered supplier is liable to pay GST under forward charge. Guys, this is for goods, yes. So section 12 and forward charge, section 12(2). I demand payment. Payment is to be ignored. What is the invoice date? 5th October. What is the due date of invoice? The goods were supplied on 3rd October. So 3rd October. So answer is 3rd October is the time of supply under section 12(2). So 12 and 13 is for time of supply. Remember, the two main sections are 12(2) and 13(2), that is FCM, and 12(3) and 13(3), that is RCM. Recipient pays in 31 entirely. Recipient pays in 31 are removed in 61. And remember, due date, whenever the goods are removed or delivered, that is the due date for invoice for goods, and 30 and 45 days is the due date for invoice of services. That's been my time, guys. What a fabulous session I've had. I'm enjoying this, energetic. Thank you so much. I'm going to call it a day today. I'm going to take every question on the Telegram group later on. Thank you, and see you guys tomorrow for another session. Guys, every day we will get better. Tax is something that you got to tackle really well. Thank you so much, and see you guys tomorrow. Good night, guys.